Good evening from London. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Is Britain a racist country? If you watch the news or read social media, there's a lot of evidence that suggests it might be. The racist murderer Stephen Lawrence is back in the headlines. London's Met Police has been branded institutionally racist. An exhibition at St Paul's Cathedral branded Sir Winston Churchill, one of our great national heroes, a white supremacist. And a shocking new report today declared that cricket, that most English of indulgences, is elitist, misogynist and institutionally racist. An independent commission found that racism is entrenched in the sport and that players at all levels of the game face discrimination because of their class and their skin colour. If you're not white, male and wealthy, it seems you're not welcome in that great English game. Now, for the many people who love cricket, myself included, it's literally my favourite sport in the world. I'll be in residence at Lord's this week for the Ashes. This report makes unsettling reading. But it's also not really the sport that I recognise, or many of the people that I've played cricket with recognise. From fans in the stands to players on the pitch, most of the people I've ever encountered in cricket are not racist or sexist. But indisputably, this report affirms that this is going on. Attitudes have changed as the times have changed, and that's indisputable too. I think that's how a lot of people feel when they see headlines like this. There are problems in our society, yes, but there has been massive progress too. Last week we marked the 75th anniversary of an event that changed the country. 492 people stepped off the Empire Windrush from the Caribbean into the gloomy grey swirls of Britain. They were the pioneers, the first in a wave of new arrivals over a period of decades who became the Windrush generation. Britain invited people from across the former empire to fill labour shortages and rebuild our battered economy after the war. And they did just that. They became factory workers, cleaners, nurses and the brand new NHS. They changed the face of this country and they changed it for the better. But it wasn't all a fairy tale. Along with the bad food and worse weather, these people faced a very hostile reception from many. They were ostracised, bullied and abused. They faced Keep Britain White signs, Enoch Powell's Rivers of Blood speech. There were race hate riots by the Teddy Boys in Nottingham and London. It was a racist country for many of those who came over in the Windrush generation. But three-quarters of a century later, and Britain, well, frankly, is unrecognisable to those times. I don't think most people in this country now care about skin colour. They care about equality and tolerance. 1 in 6 Britons has a parent born abroad now. There are more black and ethnic minority people in top government jobs here than in the whole of the European Union put together. We've opened our doors to massive numbers of Ukrainian refugees. The First Minister of Scotland is Muslim. Half of the England football team is black. It's not even a topic of conversation. The Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is a proudly practising Hindu from East African and Punjabi descent. And when he got the top job, that fact was really barely a footnote. It didn't stop the usual suspects queuing up with pre-written hot takes like this.
There's a part of me that feels a little bad for England's racists. No, because remember, they voted for Brexit specifically to keep Britain white. And that vote started a 7-year chain of dominoes that has now led directly to an Indian Prime Minister.
Yeah, that was complete nonsense by Trevor Noah, who actually left his show quite recently. No flowers need to be sent. Nobody cared, or does care, that Rishi Sunak isn't white. If it was mentioned at all, it was to celebrate the fact we had our first non-white Prime Minister. But people didn't make a big deal of that either. The exact same can be said of our old friends Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They've done more than anyone to spin an alternative reality in which Meghan was hounded out of a vile, racist country by a cruel, racist royal family. But they didn't produce any evidence for that, and still haven't. And the reality to me is that we eulogised the newly biracial monarchy as the fresh face of 21st century Britain. I wrote newspaper columns about it myself. What a breath of fresh air this was. Nobody will argue there isn't racism in Britain today, and there isn't a lot of work still to do, but the fact that Britain is one of the most diverse, welcoming and tolerant countries in the world is something to be proud of. The public fury with the Conservative government over the wrongful deportation of some of the Windrush generation is, to me, more proof of that. It may be fashionable to say Britain is racist, but in my view, it is fundamentally wrong.
I couldn't help but notice your pain. My pain, it runs deep. with me.